99 Polar Nights, 99 Island Nights. It's very clear to me now, and probably to all of you, that 99 Nights in the Forest is a bit of a phenomenon. Especially if you consider the fact that there have been times where there was a big update for the game, and it caused Roblox's servers to have a bit of a brain fart. Yes, it's that popular. Now, I have seen people on the internet think that this game was bad or undeserving of its popularity, and as someone who has played this game plenty of times, I think it would be a good idea to look into it, inspect every aspect of it, and try to come up with a fair verdict on whether or not this game is deserving truly of its popularity and success. The first thing to take into account is the lore, the presentation. Everything about that is very well realized. The game has a lot of original art and original quote-unquote animations. They're more like frame-by-frame presentations, but when it comes to story and plot and lore and stuff like that, I believe the game is top-notch in that regard. It's very fun to theorize whether the deer could possibly be just an eldritch being, or it could maybe be secretly the mother of the children. It's very good in that regard. Now, the gameplay loop is pretty simple, but very effective. You need to gather firewood, basically, and the campfire actually serves more than one purpose gameplay-wise. At night, the campfire is what keeps you safe from the deer monster. So, you know, it's important not to let the fire die out. On the other side, however, it's important to try and get the campfire to level up, because it's what will allow you to reach further into the map and be able to rescue all of the children eventually. And then we have the sprint mechanic and hunger mechanic, which go hand in hand. The more you sprint, the faster your hunger goes down. When starting out in the game, it's easy to get carried away and just run infinitely without having the proper amount of food ready. That being said, there will always be a lot of rabbits near your campfire that you can use to basically get food. And another great thing about the rabbits is that they also provide you with rabbit's foot, if you're lucky enough, which you can later use to trade with the pelt trader to get a better tool or weapon. That's one of the great things about this game. Every mechanic is connected in some way. You know, the food is connected to the animals, which are connected to the drops, which are connected to the pelt trader, which are connected to the tools. It's very good in that regard. You know, it's a very well done game design. You know, it's very good in the design philosophy, essentially. Now, when it comes to the monster, who is being very shy today, hiding behind a tree. Let me get that for you. The monster can be a bit too... I guess the word would be marketable. It's not exactly... You know, I mean, obviously you're not gonna have a monster that's hyper-realistic in a game that doesn't look hyper-realistic. And I guess it's good enough design for what it's trying to achieve. I mean, obviously we're in a forest, and it's interesting to have this sort of skinwalker, cryptid creature stalking us. And from what I've seen, they just, at the time of recording this, they recently have added a second monster that is some sort of like owl that is also, you know, also has big eyes and a big mouth, which is, well, it is a very cheap creepypasta design. It doesn't feel too out of place, you know. Roblox is a game for all ages, essentially, so a design like this that's not too complicated, that's not too gritty, I guess I can find it acceptable. Then we have the crafting. In terms of crafting, this game is very much, I think I'd like to call it a pioneer because the crafting bench and being able to use the materials that you get all around the forest, not just for the campfire but also for crafting, allows for a little bit of strategy as well, you know, because when you're playing this game, you always have to think like, okay, so I have to get the map first, then I have to get enough wood to make the crafting bench, and then I have to look around to get at least one scrap to make the upgrade. You know, it's all very, you know, it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you thinking, it keeps you basically always thinking about what your next step will be, because in this game you also can't afford to waste time, you know. I mean, the days are short and the nights, well, they're only slightly shorter than the days, but as the nights progress, you'll be attracting the attention of the cultist, regardless of what you do. So you want to be prepared for raids as soon as possible, and for that you'll want to see if you can get yourself a weapon, maybe search around the map for a revolver or a shotgun, you know, get yourself a spear if the pelt trader is offering it, or if not, at least get yourself a good axe, because not only does it deal more damage to trees, it also deals more damage to people, obviously. So it's in terms of game strategy and freedom of choice, that's also very good. Something else I also want to talk about is the difficulty. I mean, games in Roblox always have the issue that they're either too difficult or too easy. And I believe this game has a very good balance in terms of difficulty, because as long as you play it safe and be careful, you won't die. Obviously, if you just go fight a pack of wolves by yourself without any proper equipment, you will die. You will die, and that will be the end of your run, unless you feel like spending some Robux. You know, once you know all of that, once you know, have played that for a while, have gotten used to everything, the mechanics, the tools, the everything, it makes the experience a lot more enjoyable, you know? It's got a low skill floor, but well, I want to say a high skill ceiling, because, I mean, it's still a Roblox game, obviously. You're not gonna get ultra kill levels of like skillful plays here, but yeah, in terms of difficulty, it's very much balanced, in my honest opinion. Another thing we have to score this game for is its willingness to innovate, and currently I believe this game is doing very well in that regard, because, as I said earlier, and as you can see, they have been adding new biomes, they have been adding more types of buildings, dungeons. Recently I saw they added these buildings with cultists that you can raid and fight cultists in to try and get more loot, you know, valuable things, stuff like that. You know, they also have added cutscenes. You know, they added a cutscene when you managed to survive 99 days. I remember when I made the video showcasing all the, you know, all the wanted posters and such, that there was literally nothing, no cutscene once you managed to beat that. So I'm glad that they were able to, you know, not only add things that are fun mechanic-wise, but also things that make this game feel more alive, you know, that it actually has a sort of story, like lore, you know, it makes the world feel alive. And speaking of making the world feel more alive, let's not forget about all the logs and notes that you can find all across the game. These are a very nice way of building the world without having just... You're not gonna have some random NPC spout out exposition constantly while you try to play the game. So you have to do things subtly, and I believe that, you know, all the notes and such are doing a good job of, you know, giving you a few hints of what the story is about. You know, there's some clue about sort of laboratory being nearby, you know, from which the weird, strange creature might actually be from, you learn that the deer has a bit of a procedure when it comes to finding new prey. First, on the first few nights, they'll just watch, and once enough nights have passed, they'll finally try to get them. It's like the creature, it's not just this mindless beast that just attacks anything it sees. It has some sort of intelligence. And obviously it has to have some sort of intelligence because it doesn't kill the cultists that pray for it. Which is another interesting thing about this story. You know, there's a cult, which, I mean, I guess it's not that weird to see because, you know, people will make a cult about anything these days. Just look at Spawnism. Honestly, it feels like I'm just yapping, saying whatever I can because I'm not really made to... I'm not used to reviewing Roblox games like this one. And I might just be a bit biased, so I'm gonna see if I can come up with bad things to say, you know, negative things that could be improved upon. For example, earlier today I actually played this game called 99 Nights in an Island, or whatever it was. You know, I played a little bit of it and saw that in the crafting bench for that game you were actually able to create a spear. And that's a very good idea because, well, I mean, for obvious reasons. You're not just gonna fight these cultists with your fist. You know, if you were in this situation yourself in real life, you know, which would be a very weird situation, but you would still try to get yourself a weapon, you know, like of any type. Maybe, if only like a huge branch. But in this game's crafting thing, there are no weapons. You can't. Obviously, you're not gonna be able to craft a gun, but you should be able to craft at least a spear. That's actually a big glaring issue with this game. You need to find a spear in the wilderness to be able to survive nights later down the line, and if you don't get lucky, either with chests or with the Pelt Trader, then it will just be a lot more difficult to survive. And obviously there's nothing wrong with having a bit of luck dependency in these games, but sometimes that luck could just as well be replaced with actual crafting recipes or mechanics. So, you know, that's something that I don't like that much about this game. Another thing I also don't really like that much is the fact that, you know, there are badges for surviving up to 250 days, and then there's another one for 400 days. Now, I'll have you know, even if you survive through all 99 nights and you have all of the beds and you rescue all of the children, it will still take a lot, and I mean a lot of time to reach that amount. Like, you will be spending pretty much half a day trying to get those badges, even if even if you don't die, even if you are incredibly, as the kids say, cracked at this game, it will still be a huge issue, you know, time-wise. And, you know, not everyone is able to play video games all day, you know, and for a completionist such as myself, it's a huge issue. So, you know, until they add more options to add multipliers to their game or stuff like that, then, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get those badges, you know, no matter how much I love this game. Another thing of note about this game is it's randomly generated, well, I wouldn't say, I don't know if that's the correct word, but it's weather events, basically. You can have rain, you can have thunder, and now with the most recent update, you can have snow. So all of these obviously negatively affect you or your campfire, most of the campfire, and there's a reason, you know, there's a reason this thing here exists to store your wood. I'm sorry, making videos about Roblox game is slowly rotting my brain. But yes, I remember when I was just starting to play this game, the first time that I had rain. I mean, obviously it caught me off guard because I didn't know it was gonna happen. But it's a very realistic thing to make it so that wet logs just can't burn. It's kind of like in a game like Project Zomboid, for example. You know, it adds difficulty with realism. So that's the verdict, really. 99 Nights in the Forest has a tight gameplay loop that ensures you're always looking to gather something, be it wood, scrap, weapons, or more. And the core of it is pretty well thought out, to the point where games that are inspired by it don't really change the formula that much, aside from switching the setting. However, the game should definitely take this opportunity to learn from its competition. For example, it's probably a good idea to let the player craft items like a makeshift spear or axe. I played 99 Nights with a polar bear and 99 Nights in Islands, and those two games let you do stuff along those lines. If we were to take it a step further, you could add craftable spears and axes, which could be less effective than a good spear or axe respectively, but still better than the default one. That way you can keep the original balance of the game and have the randomly dropped spears and axes still be valuable. Also, having an option to switch on and off a tutorial might help new players, and a tip screen while loading could prove useful as well. Also, this might just be a personal thing of mine, but maybe add boots that increase your speed, as once you're halfway through rescuing the children, you have to spend so long just traveling to where they are, half the day will have gone by once you get there, so you don't have that much time to do much of anything. And the only way to get anywhere fast in the game comes at the very end, when you've gotten the last bench upgrade and you can't get a teleporter. Can't we have something in between, like the boots I just mentioned? Sure, in order to balance those, you'd probably have to make it waste more hunger in exchange, but it would still be extremely convenient for late game players. At the end of the day, I have nothing to say except good job. I personally believe the popularity is well deserved, and while yes, the mascot of the game, the monster, looks straight out of a mascot horror game, built not just to strike fear, but to also be marketable, the game is fun, interesting, and was a quick breath of fresh air for a platform where originality is very rare, but very appreciated. This has been Peterman Fox. Not live, but at least not completely dead inside. Yet. Good night. Oh my fucking god, that sound effect. Holy shit, I haven't heard that since I was like 10.